Lee Sanders here. You're checking out Impact Showdown for February 1st, 2019. Couple of minutes removed from an all-new Impact Wrestling as seen on the Pursuit channel and on Twitch. Remember, it now comes on the Pursuit channel and Twitch every Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. So for those of you that do not have access to the Pursuit channel, but you happen to be home on a Friday night, you can watch it for free on Twitch. Open up that game console, Xbox, PlayStation, download that Twitch app, or if you have a iPad, iOS, Android device, open it up that way. Get in front of your desktop computer and you can pretty much go to the Twitch website that way and check out Impact Wrestling, man. Miss out. You're missing out on a lot of good stuff. So, hey, look, this week's episode really honestly was not that good. I'm being totally honest with you guys. The last couple of episodes I've enjoyed since they made their premiere on Pursuit, I've enjoyed thoroughly. But this episode was a little bit weak, I would have to say. Solid main event match, but everything else in between. It was almost as if, just picture, remember how you were a little kid? And your parent had usually said to you when you were eating your dinner, hey, if you want to get dessert, you got to finish your Brussels sprouts or you've got to finish your broccoli. For every kid, there was always that one vegetable that they did not want to eat, that they had to eat if they wanted to get to their dessert, right? I know there's a lot of kids out there. Yeah, very rare you'll get that one kid. No, I ate all my vegetables, but I guarantee you that there was definitely one kid out of the bunch, whether it was vegetables or maybe one of the main entrees. There was something you did not want to eat, you refused to eat, and you got a little bit of a bribe where, okay, well, if you want this dessert, you got to finish that. And honestly, when I look at this week's Impact Wrestling, there was a lot of stuff that I honestly just did not care too much for. And I wanted to get to dessert, and dessert being the main event match. Now, look, the opener was good. It's just everything in between the opener to the main event that was a bit flat for me. I enjoyed the Lucha Brothers, Phoenix and Pentagon Jr. taking on LAX's Taurus and Dega. That was a phenomenal matchup. Good solid opener. We actually saw towards the end of that one the Lucha Brothers go up over LAX. And that was very interesting when you really stop and think about it, because that match, it ran about almost 30 minutes long, believe it or not. It ran about 30 minutes long. So they really had told a great story of the entire 2-hour broadcast. I would have to say that match alone is definitely worth going out of your way, seeing if you can watch that online see if you can watch that online somewhere. It's definitely worth going out of your way to catch. After that, we saw a backstage segment where LAX was chilling with Conan in their little chill pad, and Conan pretty much had told them they did pretty good. He's very proud of them. He's very confident in this upcoming match. He feels that as long as they can just continue to be professional, don't let it be personal, just go out there, have a good match with these guys, everything else will play itself out. And we see LAX, they're basically saying to Conan, oh yeah, you don't have to worry. Yeah, this go round, we're okay. We're going to keep it nice and professional. Hey, look, you saw, I went out there, handled my business in the ring just now. We're going to be okay when we do get ready to meet up these guys. Don't worry about it, Conan. So, backstage segment we go as Killer Kross and Moose are standing by for an interview. Kross says he's not that thrilled about tonight because of what went down last week when all of a sudden Brian Cage pops up, gets himself in this interview time for Kross and Moose, and says it was a big mistake for him interjecting himself in his business. Kross would then tell Cage he's not invincible and he's going to pay for what he did. Moose tries to calm the situation down and tells him that tonight they're going to kick Cage and Impact's asses and then get out of town. Kross agrees and says after they pay the toll, of course. Meanwhile, we told you about the other backstage segment between Conan, LAX, and everything. We go to a knockouts match. It was a tag team match. Su Yung and Dark Alley taking on Jordan Grace and Kira Hogan. Pretty decent. This was actually a decent matchup. I'm telling you, 2 out of these 4. Actually, no, let me back up a second. 3 out of these 4 women are just wow. I have to say. Just stunningly beautiful, I have to say. She can call herself Dark Alley. I hope she is getting ready to come out of that makeup because she has such a natural beauty that deserves to be seen by the entire world. I don't like the fact that she's caked up with all of that makeup. I hope that sooner rather than later she's going to come up out of there of that makeup. But anyway, Su Yung and Dark Alley teaming up to take on Jordan Grace and Kira Hogan. Good matchup. Recurring theme though, Rosemary. Rosemary having some type of a impact, and we did see her play a role in the final moments of this matchup as Jordan Grace. She was getting a beatdown for a majority of the match. She was getting double teamed by Su Yung and Dark Alley. And many times, one of them would distract the referee while Kira Hogan is looking on, trying to get the referee's attention. It was all about the numbers game. And it was very smart how this match was booked. But finally, towards the end of the match, we had saw Grace finally get the hot tag on Hogan. And Hogan is just coming out all guns blazing, right? And all of a sudden, a situation occurs. She's doing good for the hot tag. She's doing good. She's taking him down, all that. But then we see a scenario occur where the lights go out. Kind of similar to what went down a couple of weeks ago. The lights come back on. Su Yung no longer standing outside the apron wanting a tag. Instead, it's Rosemary who's looking on, begging Dark Alley to tag her in. So now you're going, where the hell is Su Yung? Su Yung is gone once again. What the hell? And as Dark Alley is once again distracted, we see freaking Kira Hogan take advantage after she comes in there delivering a spinning kick, fisherman hooks, neck breaker, gets the 1, 2, 3 that way. Team of Jordan Grace and Kira Hogan win. Take a commercial break. We come on back. Once again, we see Scarlett Bordeaux is getting her training on because she's going to be making her in-ring debut soon. And we find her personal assistant who's just chilling near the pool. He's enjoying the water, got his feet just kicking in the water. She comes up and tells him, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're supposed to be helping me train. Come on, let's spar. And she is kicking and hitting the living shit out of him as eventually he falls into the pool. And I love the line that she delivers after he falls into the pool. She says to him, you got me all wet. And then she makes her exit. Look, man, I want to know just what exactly does this so-called trainer, what does he represent? Because I feel that there is a running gag going on here, and I would love to pick the brain of freaking Don Callis, Scott D'Amore, Jimmy Jacobs. I would love to pick their brain with regards to this guy. Is he supposed to represent all of the middle-aged and older men that have a infatuation, that have a crush and then some on Scarlett Bordeaux? Is this their interpretation of how they see a certain demographic of wrestling fans that are really attractive to Scarlett Bordeaux? Because the only reason why I posed the question is because I remember a couple of weeks ago, Scarlett Bordeaux through Impact Wrestling, they were doing some type of Ask Scarlett anything or Send Scarlett pictures or some crap like that. And I remember there were knuckleheads that were sending her dick pics. And she was pretty livid about it. And you were like, wait a minute, what? Like, get out of here. So I wonder if there is a certain demographic that they are trying to exploit and make fun of when they keep showing this guy. Because I gotta be honest, just from a creative writing standpoint, I honestly was under the impression that it didn't matter how that man looked. It didn't matter if he was tall, short, skinny, thick, fat, hair, no hair, got all his teeth, missing a couple of teeth. It didn't matter. It's just whenever Scarlett Bordeaux comes to the scene, all men are going to drop what they're doing. They're going to forget about the women that they're with, and they are going to give Scarlett Bordeaux all of the attention. I thought basically that is what they were trying to portray initially. And when you kind of just see where I'm getting at now? It's like when you really stop and you think about it, you remember how when we first saw Scarlett Bordeaux interacting with all of the talents in Impact, you're going, oh, wow. Okay, and you see how all of them are just right? And now we're just homing in on this middle-aged, pretty obese-looking guy, right? So I'm very curious. I'm very curious. I would love to be a fly on the wall to know just what exactly were they thinking when they casted that guy. But anyway, yes, her in-ring debut still to come. Still to come after she got all wet. Get it? Still to come. Got all wet. Get it? Got it? Good. Moving along, Eli Drake, Eddie Edwards, they had defeated the Rascals, Zachary Wentz and Desmond Xavier. Almost a good traditional tag team matchup, especially from the side of Eli Drake and Eddie Edwards, because remember the challenge that Eli Drake put out there to Eddie Edwards. He said, look, you need to forget about Kenny. You need to leave Kenny behind. You need to leave that whole hardcore aspect behind. And you need to get back to the Eddie Edwards that was winning championships. You need to get back to the Eddie Edwards that eventually became Impact Wrestling champion. That's the guy that I need right now. We're going to go out here and we're going to do what we need to do with this tag team match that we got for this week. Remember, that's pretty much what Eli Drake said to Eddie last week, right? And so you're going, oh, well, Eli Drake, he wants to win. He just cares about the W. All right, well, that's pretty cool. Eddie, all right, we'll see how this plays out. But at one point, Eddie tries to go for Kenny, the kendo stick. And Eli Drake was having none of that. But in the final moments of this matchup, we saw Edwards toss Wentz to the outside, knocks out Xavier with a nice good lariat. Edwards comes in with a suicide dive onto the outside to Wentz. Edwards grabs Kenny and tries to enter the ring. The ref holds him back and is distracted as Drake grabs Kenny, whacks the hell out of Xavier, and then hits him with the gravy train to pick up the 1, 2, 3. And so Eddie is looking on, and the two of them actually get into an argument afterwards. And Drake's just looks, hey, we got the W. That's all that matters. Meanwhile, Edwards is looking on as if, damn, dude, you're trying to lead me by example. I'm trying to do things your way, and this is how you're going to do it? What the hell, right? We see a replay from 2 weeks ago when Tessa Blanchard had got suspended from Impact Wrestling. They show a new video for the Impact audience. Just in case you are not following Impact and Tessa on Twitter, we had saw Tessa Blanchard's reaction via Twitter to the upcoming suspension being lifted on February 15th, where Tessa Blanchard will be able to get her Knockouts Championship rematch at the February 15th Impact Wrestling event titled Uncaged. So that was pretty solid. And also, kind of going back to what was talked about on the RCWR show a couple of weeks ago, which is, and I did not even know this, and shout out to my buddy Mish from Wrestling Soup for pointing this out, which is, apparently this is what Tessa Blanchard has been doing over on WoW. Apparently that's a 6-episode arc So I'm curious what's going to happen after these 6 episodes of Wow, Women of Wrestling is over and done with. Are more episodes going to be ordered? What exactly is going on here? But I find it very convenient that once Tessa Blanchard pops up, that the WoW episodes are already going to be over and done with. So that's just enough time for her to do what she needed to do, and then that's it. So we'll be seeing that rematch once again on February 15th. We got another video basically recapping the storyline between Sami Callihan, Rich Swann. We saw a video package where Swann had admitted that there was, yes, in fact, a lot of things that Callihan said, which was true. One of those things being when Swann needed help the most, when he needed a place to stay, Callihan was right there. He was like a brother to him. He opened up his door. His family, Sami Callihan's family, welcomed Rich Swann like he was one of their own. So, yes, in fact, but Swann was also quick to point out that he's very well aware that what Sami is ultimately trying to do is get a third man into OVE that can continue to look out for Sami Callihan's best interests at heart. And that he'll always have a place in his heart for Sami Callihan. But what he's asking for right now is not something that family does. So it's going to be interesting to see how Sami Callihan retaliates verbally from what Swann had to say in this video package. From there, we had saw another video package of Taya Valkyrie, who is perfectly happy to face Tessa Blanchard once again at Uncaged, but she wants to raise the stakes. She wants a street fight for the Knockouts Championship. You heard me right, a street fight for the Knockouts Championship. Meanwhile, another match that we got on this week's Impact, Fala Bala had took on the Psycho Clown. I pretty much had tuned out after this. Psycho Clown had ended up picking up the win for that one. Backstage segment, Brian Cage had confronted Johnny Impact, told him that the Machine is going to have to be his guardian angel tonight. Impact questions why the two can't get through the match this evening. Cage says that he does not want to get through the match and keep Impact healthy. Or rather, I said that wrong, forgive me. Cage says that he does want to get through the match and keep Impact healthy so he can have his title shot on February 15th. Johnny Impact tells Cage not to screw him over tonight, and Cage says, "That's your department, champ." Main event match, Johnny Impact teaming up with Brian Cage, take on Moose and Killer Cross. Good matchup. Yeah, it was actually pretty good. You know, from the side of Cage, there was some spots where it looked a bit sloppy. The timing was off. Punches, kicks were not connecting, clear as day. But for the most part, I actually really did enjoy this tag team matchup. Closing moments of this matchup, Moose pump kicks Johnny Impact, goes for the game changer, but gets a enziguri from Impact. Impact would then follow it up by doing a halfway sloppy version of the 619 to Cross, which sends Cross into Cage. Impact goes for the springboard kick, but nails Cage in the face by accident. From there, Cage tried to hit Impact with a discus clothesline, but that connected with Killer Cross instead. Moose would then deliver a spear on Johnny Impact for a 1-2-3 as Cage was in the ring, and he could have broken up the 3 count, but he just stood there and looked on as the team of Killer Cross and Moose picked up the win. And pretty much Impact Wrestling went off the air like that. So more turmoil on the side of Brian Cage and Johnny Impact. These guys are going to definitely be tearing at each other's throats when it comes time for this Uncaged event coming up. You know, like I said, it was a decent episode other than the opener for Impact this week and the main event match. Everything else for me was just, it was, of the episodes that's been on Pursuit slash Twitch so far, it definitely was not the strongest. And the viewership definitely has showed that. Now, look, you all know that for the past several weeks now that Impact has made the move to Pursuit, it hasn't been cracking the top 150. And as a result of that, it is more difficult to get a sense of where exactly the viewership is on the Pursuit channel, where exactly is the rating, right? Because that information is no longer accessible. So the way that's been countered is people have been collecting the data from the Twitch streams and looking at the viewership that way, looking at the consistent ongoing total number of viewership at its maximum peak, and then pretty much, all right, looks like it's now declining. And you heard how the first episode, I believe they did about almost 14,000. The second week, they did about maybe 10,000 or whatever. And I just know this week, they did, I would say their average was about 6,700 views. So definitely lower than what had came about from last week. And it's kind of, I'm not going to even touch that just yet. I think, honestly, when that Uncaged event pops up on February 15th, maybe things will finally turn around for the better. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. As far as Impact Wrestling news goes, there really isn't that much that's out there. I know, sadly, you have some of these Impact Wrestling talents. They are being asked about AEW, and I don't really think that's fair to put these guys in a position where they need to talk about AEW. I think now more than ever, it needs to be about, hey, you guys have moved to the Pursuit channel. You guys are now on Twitch. That needs all the full court press that it can possibly get. So I'm going to bypass all the stuff about AEW. But one thing that did come out at me just a little bit, Eli Drake, he did a interview where he had talked about how he wants for the wrestling to be geared more towards adults, and he felt that the Attitude Era went a little bit too far. And that was actually a very interesting interview. I would definitely recommend you guys check that out, give you guys a little something to do during a long weekend. Other than that, just trying to think if there was anything else wrestling news wise as far as Impact Wrestling goes. Oh, Matt Morgan. You guys remember Matt Morgan? He's wrestled many times for Impact Wrestling. Well, he's going to be coming out of retirement one more time, and it is for a very worthy cause. He is going to be coming out of retirement for one final match for charity at the Ritter Park in Longwood, Florida on March 16th. And he said, and I quote, "I'm coming out of retirement for one last match, so we look to raise money where 100% of the proceeds will go to our Lyman High School football team, our only high school in the city, to get them anti-concussion helmets. I found out we were the only team in the league that don't have them. So I'm not going to charge admission. We're just going to ask for suggested donations." How cool is that? That's badass, right? So check that out when you guys get an opportunity. Speedy recovery to Matt Sydal. Matt Sydal needs to undergo surgery to repair torn cartilage in his knee, and he is expected to be back in the ring in the next 3 to 5 months. The surgery was initially supposed to take place last week, but it got pushed back to the very next week, which is this week that we're in right now. So he should be getting it right now. If I'm not mistaken, he should be getting it. And yes, Matt Sydal via Twitter, because it looks like he had responded to El Hero del Fantasma, who asked him, "Hey, amigo, what are you getting done? How are you, amigo? What are you getting done?" And he said, "They are repairing cartilage in my knee. I will be back in the ring in 3 months." So he should be having it this week. He should have already gotten it already. I find it funny that you had a lot of other wrestling websites that were trying to make a big deal out of it. They basically were trying to say he couldn't afford his insurance or something of that nature. And Matt Sydal never said that online whatsoever. So I'd like to know just where exactly did they get that information. Just kind of crazy right there. And also, we talked about this on the RCWR show, but I do want to stress this once again, that a former TNA knockout has passed away. Former TNA knockout Belladonna, real name Roxanne Biggerstaff. She passed away on Monday at the age of 40. Y'all may remember her. She was a valet for the Disciples of the New Church Stable back in 2002. She did wrestle a match in TNA. It was under the TNA NWA era. It was going back December 4th of 2002. It was a handicap bull rope match against America's Most Wanted, James Gunn and Chris Storm. The information was revealed via Facebook by her former stablemate / Wolfie D. And her sister has launched a GoFundMe campaign to help raise money for funeral arrangements, things of that nature. So if you guys are able to do a little something, that would definitely be appreciated. I know last we had checked, she was very close. Her sister was very close to getting the necessary money that they had needed. I remember coming on this show and telling you guys that they were about less than $300 away. And I can tell you guys that at the time of this recording of Impact Showdown right now, they are, looks like about $290 short of their goal. As right now they have $2,810 and they are trying to hit their $3,000 goal. And her sister says, let you know straight up where all this money is going. It is all going to funeral expenses. So I will include that link for you guys to check out in the episode description of this very episode. But other than that, as far as any other Impact Wrestling news, there's really nothing else that has been going on. So on that note, we're going to go ahead, we'll stick a fork in it, and we will call this DONE done. Your next episode at this point for you Impact Wrestling fans will definitely give you guys another episode coming on Friday, the 8th of February. As you know, we don't do these episodes as soon as Impact Wrestling goes off the air, because by the time it goes off the air, it's midnight. So instead, we give you these episodes sometime Saturday afternoon. But we do a little something called the RCWR show. For those of you that want a little something to tie over until the next episode of Impact Showdown, we come at you every Tuesday night with a show called the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Comes on Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. As soon as SmackDown goes off the air, we come at you guys live via YouTube, Spreaker, and via the RCWR Show app. So check us out when you get that opportunity. Be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes of Impact Showdown and the RCWR Show you may have missed. Available on all great sounding platforms such as iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play. Just use the keywords the RCWR Show. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Use the keywords the RCWR Show. Lee Sanders here. Thank you guys so much for checking out this week's Impact Showdown. Until next go round, I am wishing all of you all to be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see you next go round. You all do take care.
Thanks for listening. An Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive.